have some pretty lofty goals this year. And I don't even usually go over my goals based off of a yearly thing, right? I don't stop. I don't look at weekends the same way that everybody else does. I don't look at the new year as like a new start, doing resolutions and things. I just continue to ramp up. My goal and the way that I move, and again, I was telling you guys about this last week, is I operate based off of an agile methodology. Now, I'm process oriented when it comes to my lifestyle, meaning that I believe that you installing processes in your life allows for you to continuously be successful and have that consistency. Because whether you're doing content creation or whether you're investing, it's the consistency that then gives you the chops, or it's the consistency that gets you over to the success. And so, anybody that's been following me for an extended period of time, you understand that is true, right? But my agile methodology has also allowed for me to pivot and focus more on a project oriented mindset when it comes to my investment strategies, right? When I say investment strategies, it's not just the companies, it's not just the businesses that I'm building, but it comes into place when we're talking about agile methodology. Now, a lot of people are not familiar with agile methodology, and it's much different than waterfall, right? But just a quick crash course. Agile, there is no specific goal. You're just constantly iterating. And there's ways that you manage it, right? And a lot of people use Jira. Some people use Jira in their organization. A lot of people may have a different type of Kanban board, but a Jira and a Kanban board allows for you to create these cards and you assign points to them that then you move or you set up your new goals based off of, most of the time it's a bi-weekly goal. So it's an every 2 week goal. So you get a chance to iterate or a chance to develop. Now follow me and don't get caught up in the terms. I'm going to break it down from a C student's perspective. But you don't go in a waterfall method and that there's a real end goal. And once we complete this project, it's done and we're going to send it out to the people. What we found, right, as we continue to go into this technology driven world, whether you're dealing with applications or you're dealing with anything, is that you basically have to adopt an agile methodology to where the project never really ends. You're just continuously iterating in it. So there's not a big bang, there's not a big redesign that comes along with it. What you're doing is constantly improving and changing based off of the feedback that you get from whatever application that you're working on or whatever project that you're working on. So we see cars, for example, continue to get better every year. You see applications, they drop new releases or they drop a new software update for whatever it is that you're using. And what that allows for you to do is just continuously improve and add value to whatever it is that you're doing. And so I take the same approach to my personal life and even when it comes to content creation, right? So for example, my goal isn't to, oh man, I need to get to 1 million subscribers. I don't look at the subscriber numbers. I want to constantly improve on what I'm doing to add value to people. I want to constantly grow as far as the type of presentation that I'm putting out to you guys. I constantly reinvent or change the times that I want to drop certain videos depending on what time my audience is up. And I'm using the data and the analytics to determine that, right? And so I have some goals and they're lofty goals, but they're all based off of insight that I got from all of the things that I accomplished last year. I think that it's not unreasonable because we're slightly above 50,000 on Instagram for us to be above 100,000 followers on Instagram. Is no reason in the world that we can't double the more than 100 million views that we got across multiple different platforms on YouTube to well over 200 million and be trending towards 250 million views in 1 year. There's no reason why we can't grow the After Hours channel now that we've been able to basically model it and then improve upon it based off of the insight that we got from what we learned from the Millionaire Morning Show and then the Anton Daniels channel to then take the best of it and then modify it according to what that audience is expecting over there, right? So when you're developing your goals or you're continuously iterating, and I don't want you guys to have a resolution because what will happen is when you don't hit your goal or you mess up on your eating or you mess up on what it is that you wanted to do or your financial goal, you'll completely just shut down and say, oh, well, I didn't accomplish it. I'm not going to the gym no more, or I'm not going to continue to invest the way that I was, or I took a loss or I took an L. And then you'll just forget about it and you'll be doing the same thing next year. I want you to take more of a mindset that you're constantly iterating, that you're constantly growing, that you're constantly modifying the method by which you're doing things. And even when you have something that you may not necessarily be as successful in, or it didn't hit the way that you thought it was going to hit, you can revise that, and then you can make it more of what you want it to be based off of the learned lessons. And in any agile environment, it's the learned lessons that you have at the end of that 2 week sprint that then allows for you to then make adjustments and do better the next time that you go into a 2 week sprint. So when we say agile methodology, because I told you guys not to get caught up in the terminology, right? We're talking basically about, if you want to break it down to a brass tacks, we're basically talking about every 2 weeks or every week, however you want to look at it. And everybody should have a Kanban board. A Kanban board is basically like, it's a digital version of just taking sticky notes and saying what you want to accomplish over that 2 weeks and what can you accomplish over those 2 weeks. And then you gauge how well you'll be able to fare. And then you come back after those 2 weeks, you say, okay, this is what I accomplished. This is what I didn't accomplish. And this is how I need to make adjustments based off of what I'm projecting myself to be. And you compare that with your schedule. And so when you're talking about iterating, I want you guys to start looking at this in 1 week and 2 week segments. We call them sprints, but 1 week and 2 week segments. Meaning that I want you guys to start setting goals not based off of what you want to accomplish for the year. I want you to start setting goals based off of what you want to accomplish over the next 1 to 2 weeks. That's the only thing that we care about. Because the project, you, is forever. You will always be growing. You will always be iterating until the day that you die. And more importantly, you're setting together, or you're putting together the foundation by which your family or the people that come after you while you're alive and after you pass have to fall into that structure to continue to keep whatever it is that you built for them alive, or to keep it thriving, or to continue to have estate planning. What you're basically doing is taking a long-term dream and then you're breaking it down into milestones, and then you're going in and you're iterating based off of those 1 week and 2 week sprints. It'll keep you more consistent. It'll give you more encouragement. You'll start to see goals because you'll have things that you accomplished and smaller things that you can hang your hat on and say, yeah, I accomplished this, and I'm motivated to continue to go forward, because you'll constantly be seeing growth. If you looking at this and saying by the end of December 2024, this is where I want to be at, you don't really have any milestones to break down to measure yourself against how far you are from that goal. Whereas when you're iterating on a weekly basis, or on a monthly basis, on a bi-weekly basis, it allows for you to actually have some measurables based off of your history. You can go back and say, well, last week I accomplished this, I dropped this many videos, or I saved this much money, or I was this disciplined with my budget. And then you can make adjustments and tweak it, and then you could be more effective, and you can take those learned lessons and be greater at what it is that you was doing versus what you was doing last week. And so I want us to take this agile methodology when it comes to our lifestyles. We are constantly iterating. We're constantly reevaluating ourselves. We're constantly setting smaller goals. You don't have to be great for the whole year. You only got to be great for that week. You don't have to be great for the whole year. You only got to be great for two weeks, right? Take those same methodologies and basically slice up your life and have real measurables. Get your calendar together, right? Start getting your life goals together, and then start breaking that down based off of where you would. I already know when I'm going to start touring, or I'm projected to do that. I already know exactly where I'm going to be from a numbers or expectations as far as what my budget is, which allows for me to then make more informed decisions as to how much money I'm going to give over to the IRS, or how much money I have to reinvest back into my businesses to prevent myself from then having to pay too many taxes and not getting anything back in return for it. I know the cars that I'm going to buy. I know the trips that I'm going to take. I know how many business trips I have to take. I know how many tour dates I'm probably going to do. We got a general idea, but we're going to continue to get more clarity as the year goes on. Right? I know how much money I plan on investing back into the bag chasers as far as investing in your businesses. And it's all based off of that constant iteration and then projecting things based off of that new information, right? So if you're confused about this, I want you to replay it. And all I'm telling you to do is create smaller goals, to have documentation that you can measure yourself against, and then to continue to be successful based off of just those smaller goals, because the smaller goals roll into the bigger goals. And then before you know it, Next thing you know, you got a positive net worth, you're more successful. Then you have bigger problems because the bigger problems is how much money do I have to get rid of so that I ain't giving this money over to the federal government. I want you guys to continue to grow. I don't want you to be at the same space. I don't want you to continue to have these small time conversations. And I think that the baby steps is awesome. I think that Dave Ramsey is awesome. I think that what he's doing is getting you up to the starting line. But there's another level, and you have to compartmentalize that information so that you can make more informed decisions. I seen somebody in the chat earlier and they said, well, the market is the most successful vehicle for you to be able to make a lot of money versus real estate. I would say that you just probably don't know any better because you're not really familiar with how beneficial real estate is for you, even from a tax perspective. All of the tax havens or the interest or the write down of the property, the depreciation and stuff that you can take from that property, or the pulling from the property in order to not have to pay the taxes because you don't have to pay taxes on the money and the equity that you have in the property that you pull out in order to really be able to live the lifestyle that you want, right? And so there's levels to the game. There's rules to the game. And you can't just have this small thinking mindset. A lot of y'all sit here and you complain and you say, well, the gatekeepers ain't giving me the information. You don't even subscribe to the Patreon where they're having all of these type of conversations inside of the Discord. You're not even going to be a part of Stock Club. You can't kick it with me in person because you don't have access because you won't even invest in yourself. So all I'm telling you is that there's always another level. No matter where you are in your life, there's always another level. You got to invest in yourself. You got to take some time out and plan out your life. And then you have to create measurables that you'll actually have milestones that you have to hit on a weekly basis that allow for you to be much more successful. Agile methodology is forever. It's constant iteration. You never get rid of the product. Facebook didn't stop iterating. It just continued to grow into what it is today. Microsoft didn't launch the product and then they said, okay, we're done. They continue to iterate to whatever it is that they did. Now they're a part of OpenAI, ChatGPT, right? They've transitioned. They bought LinkedIn, right? They made LinkedIn a part of their strategy as far as really understanding where people at and what they need in order to continue to grow. They continue to iterate their older products to now be subscription based, which is the entire Microsoft suite with Excel and PowerPoint and Word, right? Now they've implemented, right? Because what if they'd have stopped? They've implemented cloud infrastructure that allow for them to compete against AWS. That cloud infrastructure now powers what's going on with their gaming devices and gaming systems that basically put GameStop and all of these other Best Buys and Radio Shacks out of business because you don't have to actually go in and buy the games anymore. And then they're continuously iterating. Imagine where they'll be 10 years from now. Imagine what Amazon will be 10 years from now. Imagine where you will be 10 years from now if you continue to have this iteration mindset to where you're never a finished product, but you're just continuously growing based off of the understanding that you have. And now that you can go back and you can look at your learned lessons and then make adjustments going forward. We're all just works in progress, but we don't look at ourselves like that because we put these long goals out there that's nothing that we can really measure ourselves against. And then that's how we find ourselves in a hamster wheel. When I got real things that I'm trying to achieve based off of these 1 and 2 week sprints, it allows for me to be a lot more successful and then I can measure myself. And then next thing you know, you look up and you're rich as hell. You're rich as hell. So I want you guys to change your mindset. More than I want you to create actual goals for yourself, I want you to change your mindset to have an iteration type of mindset instead of this long-term goal that you know that you're not going to do and you're not going to accomplish because you've been doing that for the last 10 years. I want you to have this iteration style mindset that allows for you to really grow. And I'm giving you the secrets to success. I'm giving you the secrets of how people are successful long term. I'm showing you how I manage my teams. I'm telling you what I do when I go into corporate America on a daily basis without actually having to tell you, right? Take the lessons, take the jewels, and don't even go based off of whether or not you like me. Replay this. Make sure you tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. And we're going to grow together. It's an iteration. A lot of y'all are not even familiar with the fact that if you look at this live stream today, it's a completely different image that I used in the background as far as during the Millionaire Morning Show. Then I know it looks very similar, but it's more crisp, right? It actually gives more definition. It hits harder. Here, let me show it to you. If you look at this, that background image is much different than the background image. Just a small thing. The bezels on this are smaller, right? We did some measurables going into the end of the new year. And we did some comparisons as far as showing people, and we did an A and B testing like we usually do when it comes to um, user experience. We did A and B testing with different people out in the streets of Miami and in Detroit before we came here. And we said, hey, when you look at this, which one do you like better? And what do you like about this? And what don't you like about this? Right? We made some modifications. We implemented it. We tested it over at after hours. And then we implemented some new things over here. And so we're not just going with big bang changes. Everything that we do over here is an iteration process. It's changing slowly to where you don't realize that it's changing. All you realize is that you getting a great experience every single day. We're updating everything that we do, and that's how you need to be living your life. Updates every day. Every single day you need to be iterating. Every single day. And then measure yourself against those things so that you could be a lot more successful going forward. All right?